Rapids, Colorado. You would hardly have known that it poured for about 45 minutes, a little more than a half hour ago. Field looks gorgeous now, and the evening is as it should be for the beginning of 4th of July weekend. Fireworks to follow. The Rockies beginning a 10-game homestand. That man Brad Hopp's hitting .404 this year at Coors Field, but he's doing a lot of damage out on the road as well. Rockies with the festive lids. Jorge De La Rosa walking back from the bullpen with Chris Iannetta, as he is going to toe the rubber tonight for the Colorado Rockies. Jim Tracy is at home plate with the exchange of the lineup cards. Rockies have not seen Arizona in a while. Last time they saw Arizona, Bob Melvin was the manager. He was dismissed in early May, and A.J. Hinch takes over. He's 19-31 since taking over. The interesting thing about Hinch, who's a very bright young guy, is that, George, he had never managed at any level prior to getting this gig. Well,
I think that's one of the hard things, although he has always been a favorite of Josh Burns, Jerry Dipoto, two of the top echelon over with the Arizona Diamondbacks, guys that thought had a lot of faith in him as he had ran their minor league system.
So A.J. Hinch in the Arizona dugout. They've lost a lot of close games this year. That's how the Rockies started. All the one-run losses. They are 10-15 in one-run games this year for Arizona. And they lost 3-2 in 10 innings yesterday at Cincinnati. In fact, they lost 2 out of 3 in Cincinnati, somewhat similar to how the Rockies lost 2 out of 3 in L.A. They actually outscored Dusty Baker's club 8-6 in the 3 games. There was not a lot of offense.
Not a lot of offense. Pretty good pitching.
Pretty good pitching, and kind of goes against what you'd expect at Great American Ballpark. How about the Rockies against the Dodgers? The Rockies outscored the Dodgers 5-4. Won 3-0, lost 1-0, of course, on Wednesday. Great pitching from both sides.
Both sides of it. The bullpens were outstanding on for both of those ball clubs. And again, once again, it's up to the Rockies, Troy Tulowitzki, to. You're at home in this homestand to just go out and really it's set up for you against who you're playing, how they played. Even though Arizona 12-13 out on the road, they played well out on the road. The guy pitching against tonight has pitched well on the road for Arizona. It's a matter of putting win streaks together, and the Rockies have done that 10-2 under Jim Tracy.
Let's take a look at the Southwest batting order tonight for the Arizona Diamondbacks. Felipe Lopez has been very sound. He's in at 303. Ryan Roberts will bat the 2-hole. Justin Upton got off to a very slow start in April, but he's been sensational since. He's an all-star candidate. Mark Reynolds, 22 home runs, 3rd in the National League. Gerardo Parra came up about 6 weeks ago. He's been very solid. Chris Young is having a difficult year. He's battled some injuries. Luke Carlin, the former Padre, will do the catching tonight. Augie Ojeda for Stephen Drew with the lefty on the mound at shortstop. And then Max Scherzer. Let's take a look at the Fidelity scouting report on Jorge De La Rosa.
Well, a lot of things don't change. That's fastball's 89-95 at times. The slider, hard slider, turns into a curveball. When he gets really on top, takes a little velocity off of it and runs it into the low 80s. The changeup has been a friend for Jorge De La Rosa through this 4-1 win streak overall, 4-7. You see where he needs to work that fastball in on the hands and away. I think that's going to be a key to try to get these guys to chase up out of the strike zone. It's going to make it effective for his slider, make it very effective for the changeup.
Now let's look at the gloves behind De La Rosa today. And one of the keys to success for the Rockies all season long, in particular during the great month plus that they've played, Carlos Gonzalez, Dexter Fowler, and Brad Hopp. It's been their defense. The outfield with those three, and then Ian Stewart, Troy Tulowitzki on the left side, Clint Barmas, Todd Helton on the right side, and Chris Iannetta doing the catching. The Rockies have Yorvi Torrealba back in the fold, and Paul Phillips, who did a really good job backing up Iannetta, was designated for assignment with Torrealba healthy. And that outfield, with the speed of Gonzalez and the speed of Fowler in center and left, George, it's going to be, you want to have guys that cover a lot of ground when you play at Coors Field.
Well, there's no question with De La Rosa on the mound. He's had his struggles here. Everybody knows that with De La Rosa as we look at our Bird Automotive keys to this ball game tonight. The big crowd, it is going to be sold out. It's fireworks. Rockies are winning a lot of baseball games, so the crowd is here to see the Rockies at home sweet home. Back for this 10-game homestand and then out on the road for 4. Back again. De La Rosa versus Scherzer. This is pretty simple, folks. De La Rosa's got to pitch better at Coors Field. 1-5, a near 8 earned run average at .797. Max Scherzer out on the road this year, 2-2 with a 1.80 earned run average.
Yeah, they have been, as a team, they've been better out on the road. We were just alluding to that. Jorge De La Rosa, here's something to put in your back pocket. Against lefties, they're hitting just 182 against them. Righties are hitting 303. De La Rosa looking for his 5th win overall, his 2nd at home this year. He has an ERA above 8 at Coors Field. So here we go. The switch hitter Felipe Lopez in from the right side. He takes strike one, just a little bit above the belt. And that fastball cruised across the strike zone at 91 miles an hour.
If you've got to back off of velocity, create a little movement with your fastball to get it into the strike zone and do it early. And as soon as you start to overthrow, a lot of times that ball will come up into the zone. Interesting, in 6 starts against the West, De La Rosa 0-3. The Rockies 1-5 in those starts for De La Rosa versus the West. Started the year, the first couple of months, 0-6, 4-1. Drew talked about that in the month of June.
And a weak ground ball toward Clint Barmas. Good start for De La Rosa, 1 out. And that'll bring up Ryan Roberts to the plate. The start time officially at 6:32, so a 22-minute delay. And the game time temperature is 73 degrees. We were down on the field as we traditionally are before the ball game. It was hot. I mean, it was really hot. Then all of a sudden the wind starts blowing. Temperature must have dropped 20 degrees in 5 minutes.
Now you start to feel it coming. All you had to do is look out over left field and knew it was on its way. The other key to knowing that the rain is on its way is Mark Grazin and his group jumps out of the dugout and starts running to get the tarp out.
But again, looking out there, you would have no idea that there was standing water on this field a little while ago.
Now you think it's 6:35 start.
Yeah. 1-1 on Ryan Roberts. They have had so many injuries, talking about the Arizona Diamondbacks. And probably the most notable is Brandon Webb, certainly. I mean, one of the game's best pitchers. And he's hoping to come back and pitch in September after checking with 3 different doctors on his ailing shoulder. They determined he does not need surgery. Another chance for Barmas. 2 outs. And again, Webb hopes to be pitching again in September, but I would say that's real iffy at this point. He threw 4 innings opening day and then had to shut it down. The Rockies nailed him for 6 runs. That was a back and forth affair, if you recall. Felipe Lopez hit a home run from each side of the plate, and Tony Clark hit a home run from each side of the plate on opening day for Arizona.
And Lopez with 4 home runs on the year, so 2 of those on opening day. Not a lot of damage done since then.
No, this guy's done a ton of damage. Remember how miserable he was swinging the bat, George, the first 3 weeks of the season? Gets a changeup, strike one. Justin Upton at 309, 14 home runs, 45 RBIs. I think his competition for the All-Star team with Arizona would come from Dan Herron naturally and Mark Reynolds with the 22 home runs. Reynolds is on deck. That fastball is down low. 2 balls and a strike on Justin Upton. Actually 1-1. Getting ahead of myself. Upton's been a monster out on the road. He's hitting .336 out on the road. .621 slugging percentage. And where is that? Just off the plate, evidently. Zipped in there at 95 miles an hour. So there is the 2-1 count. And the damage he's done out on the road. And keep in mind, Chase Field is a great hitter's park. The fact that they've struggled at home doesn't make a lot of sense. De La Rosa's not going to get it, but Barmas was right behind second base.
Set a record.
Barmas set another one of those records, George. 4 ground balls to Clint Barmas. 3. That will work. club is 23-9. And let's take a look at these Southwest Airlines lineup tonight for the Rockies. Dexter Fowler will lead it off. Clint Barmes will follow. Todd Helton in the 3-hole, followed by Brad Hopp at 333. Troy Tulowitzki next. Ian Stewart has a couple of home runs against Arizona this year. Chris Iannetta slides up from the 8-hole to the 7-hole because he's had success against Max Scherzer, then Carlos Gonzalez and De La Rosa. And Scherzer, with that golden right arm, throws it right down the middle, strike one. 21-year-old kid who has reached 99 on the gun this year.
They've really cleaned up his delivery. His delivery used to be really across his body. The elbow was down. He'd fly open to the front side. And the shoulder had bothered him in college a little bit at the University of Missouri. Big 12 pitcher of the year in 05. Pitched on the USA Baseball's national team in the summer of 2005. Went 2-1 and working for the United States. Interesting that he was drafted in 06 and did not sign. And so at that time, the draft rules, they've changed since then. The Arizona Diamondbacks retained the rights until the next year. Well, instead of going back for his senior year, he worked out under the tutelage of Scott Boras, his agent, out on the West Coast. And then he went in and pitched for the Fort Worth Cats. Let's give you a foul ball into the seats down the left field line. For the Fort Worth Cats. And so on May 31st, he had to sign 7 days prior to the draft. The Diamondbacks came back and made an offer that made him happy.
1 ball and 2 strikes. It remains on Dexter Fowler, and that ball was a slider down beneath the knees, recognized by Fowler. So it's 2-2 on Dex. Wow, Tom Hallion easy.
You're getting all excited. He called a chiropractor.
He looked like Joe Frazier throwing a left hook 30 years ago.
I think he's going to need a chiropractor by the 6th or 7th. Let's look at the scouting report on Mr. Scherzer. His fastball, as you'll see, will range 89-95. As Drew mentioned, has touched 99. That's his comfort zone. He will mix in a curve occasionally, not very often. Mostly it's slider 78-84. And then on the changeup, 77-85 on his change. His overall record 5-5 in his career. He is 5-9 in his career. Nighttime, he's pretty good. 4-2 with a 281 earned run average. Doesn't like the daylight. 1-3, 561.
That's quickly a 2-strike count on Clint Barmes. Barmes making his 60th start at second base tonight. He led the Rockies with 54 starts a year ago. He was splitting time with Ian Stewart, Jeff Baker. But he is the everyday second baseman, and for the most part, the everyday guy in the 2-hole for Jim Tracy.
As much confidence, we've read the papers today. You've heard all that Jim Tracy talking about it. You particularly have heard the bullpen saying, knowing what your role is out of the bullpen and the trust that the manager has to put you in that situation. Clint feels that same feeling from the manager, hitting 2-hole every day, regardless of who's on the mound. Now, he struggled a little bit. He stuck him to the backside of it out on the road. But also Jim was able to handle it very carefully. And it was funny because his last at bat in Anaheim, Jim said, I just talked to the second baseman and I told him, you make contact, we'll move you up tomorrow. Because he had struck out a lot in that Anaheim series.
That's down low. 2-2. Well, the Rockies, and I was going to say Barmes was not alone in struggling to make contact in L.A. The Rockies struck out 39 times against the Dodger pitching staff. 3-2. The Rockies as a whole had 14 hits in the 3 games in 104 at bats, a 135 average, 2 for 19 runners in scoring position. And this ball is hit solidly to Chris Young in center field and make the catch. 2 outs, and let's officially take a look at the defenders for Arizona. Gerardo Parra had a great spring training. He's been up for a while now. Chris Young and Justin Upton. Ryan Roberts at third. Across the diamond, Mark Reynolds, who used to be the everyday third baseman. They've had so many injuries. It is Ojeda and Lopez up the middle, and Luke Carlin is behind the plate. Todd Helton steps in, and Todd takes a strike at the knees. Todd had a solid road trip. He hit 276. Hitting 318 overall against right-handed pitching, 300 against lefties. That's outside. That was a changeup. 1 ball, 1 strike. Todd had the day off Wednesday, so ostensibly he's had 48 hours of rest. 2 balls and a strike.
I mentioned earlier, Scherzer, a lot of pitch counts will jump up on him. When he does that, he doesn't get deep into the ball games. For the year, he's averaged about 5 2/3 per start.
And a ground ball to second. Lopez will throw out Helton, and Scherzer matches the 1-2-3 inning that De La Rosa had. We'll go to the second. Worked a 1-2-3 first inning, 3 ground balls to Clint Barmas. Mark Reynolds will lead it off. Rockies fans, go to FSNinsider.com and check out tonight's Douglas County Water Pick'em. Pick a winner and see how long your streak can go. Tonight's Pick'em, 3 categories. Which team will win tonight, Arizona or Colorado? Which team will have more home runs? Which player will have more hits, Justin Upton or Brad Hopp? I'm going to take Hopp because Upton's already 0 for 1.
All right. I agree with you on everything.
There you go. De La Rosa against Mark Reynolds. This is a feast or famine guy. We've talked about it a lot in the last couple of years. He strikes out a ton. He also will hit it as far as anybody in baseball. 22 big flies this year. 1 ball and 1 strike on Reynolds.
Do you think he's a young Guerrero? Vladimir Guerrero just swings at everything, but when he makes contact, he hits it a mile? Not the same hitter, probably. Bless you.
Thank you. No, he's not anywhere close to, to Guerrero's class, because Guerrero has hit over 300 for 11 straight years. He's struggling this year.
Yes,
Mark Reynolds will never hit 300. I shouldn't say that.
I can't say never.
I should say that. Mark Reynolds, it is unlikely, will hit 300. Mark Reynolds strikes out. Vladimir Guerrero swings at everything. Frazier, he never strikes out. He strikes out like 50 times a year.
But I mean, my point was is part of swinging at everything. Until he hits one on one hop, you're not anywhere close to Guerrero.
Yeah, you're right. Or take a hack at that.
Guerrero, actually, I had about an Anaheim tell me that night. He took one off of one hop and hit it in left center. Really?
That's like the old story about Helton. Somebody was looking in at Helton at the first time. They said, man, does he swing that wildly sometimes? They go, oh, no, he hasn't done anything yet. He hasn't left his feet. This ball is going to sneak its way through the right side of the infield. See, if Barmas stayed in his normal spot, he'd be 4 for 4, George.
Well, that would have been a really big record.
So Reynolds is on. Para coming up. Time for our Mike Shaw auto update with Mark Stout. Mark.
All right, guys, thank you very much. You mentioned it, George, at the start of the game that Jorge De La Rosa is only 1-5 at Coors Field this year. Well, if he wins this game, he'll be 8-7 overall at Coors Field as a Rocky. He pitched well here last year. I had a conversation with Jason Marquis about how do you pitch at Coors Field mentally. And, of course, Marquis said, I don't let anything bother me. That's just the way I am. But say I'm pitching in L.A. and my ball is breaking 10 inches. Well, if it's only 4 to 5 inches here at Coors Field, I've got to adjust to make sure that I know where my ball is breaking and how the strike zone is. He says it's a little bit of a mental game, but not a lot. And that's what De La Rosa's got to get in check.
And they still turn two. Tulowitzki did a nice job, George. He actually had to back up for half a step to field the baseball, then touch the bag, and then complete the double play.
Yeah, he wanted to get a good hop. If he would have come forward, he would have had to short hop this baseball, so he stayed back on it. The best part of it, De La Rosa let it go through. He got the good hop here and then on over to the first base. You just minimize the opportunities for an error to happen, so when you let that go as a pitcher, easy to do. Now, they were really bunching up the middle, both guys.
Chris Young steps in. He has had a very difficult year. I want to ask you a question about that, George, after this pitch. 2 outs, nobody on for Young. And that curveball he didn't get on top of, so it's 1-0. As a pitcher, did you ever hear the middle infielders going, leave it, leave it, leave it? It happens too fast, right?
It happens way too fast. You don't hear him saying, I got it or I call for it. I think the biggest key is to pitch to your defense. As it sets now, with Barmas playing up the middle, so they're saying what they're basically saying is that Young's going to hit the ball more up to the middle. You can see Clint right out here, and then Tulowitzki playing to pull along with Stewart. So when you see that type of a situation on the field, pitch to the defense. Pitch it in where he's going to pull the baseball. They don't think that he's going to take the ball to the opposite field. It is set up defensively right now, much like it was for Reynolds. Reynolds just happened to sneak it by on the right side.
Chris Young has battled a hamstring injury, a groin injury of late. They hope to get him 3 starts in this series. He was limited in Cincinnati, and he finally started to come alive in the Kansas City series for Arizona, and then got injured. You see just $1.58 on the road. That is not like Chris Young. And it's part of the problem for Arizona. They have been one of the poorer offensive teams in the National League this year. And that's a strike. Good pitch. 95 on the outside corner.
I just want to see another punch out. I want to watch Hallion do that reversal again.
That was the best third strike call.
Let's see if he does it again. Jorge, make it nasty.
Year.
Make it nasty. Make it where Young takes it. And now I'm going to see the ring up.
Drop a hook on him. Hallion looked like Tiger Woods when he won the Masters. Keep coming up with more analogies. Here's the 3-2. Popped up. Helton giving it a look, and not going to have a play. Chris Young, another guy known to strike out. He has struck out 65 times, but he's nowhere close to the club lead. Upton struck out 72. Reynolds, George, 107 punch-outs.
I know, 107 punch-outs. And if you're at the halfway point, it makes you a little nervous as a player. But you know what? I think he learned a year ago with all the strikeouts. Go foul. He learned a long time ago with all these strikeouts that he understands it's going to happen. I think as a younger player, probably affected him a little bit more. Now he doesn't, it doesn't affect him as much. He knows he's going to hit the home runs. He knows he's going to drive in the RBIs. I think the thing he would like to find out if everybody get healthy where he can play his position at third base.
Yeah. Yeah, he stayed off that pitch. So De La Rosa walks Young with 2 outs. You have speed aboard. That's the first walk allowed by the Rockies pitching staff in more than 21 innings.
With the situation the Diamondbacks are in, it's the first time they've been 17 games under 500. They have had a lot of injuries. They've lost their #1 starting pitcher. All those things being said, they've also had some pretty good outings from Scherzer, Garland. I mean, they've got some others. Herron. They've got guys that can pitch.
Herron's been fantastic.
But the problem you run into now is coming into these cities where the Rockies are as hot as they have been, and you're 17 games under 500. Instead of playing to lose all the games, you need to try to play the game and think to your mind, if you're a Diamondback, I got nothing to lose. Go play baseball.
Yeah.
You know, we're 17 games out under 500, 19 games out of first place. And the last win Garland had was May 19th.
Oh, 0-1 on Luke Carlin, and it's now 0-2. Luke Carlin was a member of the Canadian baseball team, the WBC. Never saw any action, though.
Remember him up with San Diego a year ago? Came up when they were flip-flopping catchers around an awful lot with the injuries. Bard was up, Carlin was up.
And that's another injury. The reason Carlin's here, and Miguel Montero does the catching most every day, but he's a lefty, he's not facing De La Rosa, is Snyder has a bad back, and he's going to be out for a while longer. Eric Burns broke his hand last week. He was hit by a pitch. He's going to be out 7 to 8 weeks.
Connor Jackson's got a bad broken rib, or what?
No,
he's out 60 days.
Connor Jackson's out for the year, they believe. He has something called the desert flu.
It's a valley fever.
Valley fever, excuse me. I call it desert flu. Valley fever.
You know who
which
had
is
that?
Very debilitating.
Well, I think the last guy that had is Steve Stone when he was announcing the Cubs games. Missed an entire year in the broadcast booth. I mean, it just takes all energy out of you.
He got it. He's lost about 16 pounds, and he's still, I mean, he's on the road to recovery in theory, but he's nowhere close to playing. And people within the Diamondback organization think that Connor Jackson may not play at all this year, and he's been out since May 12th.
That is a big blow to their organization.
300 hitter. Here's the 1-2, and De La Rosa gloves it to go underhand. You better this way. There you go. De La Rosa is one of those guys, George. He has the thing when he throws to first base. So he goes underhanded.
You don't worry about the thing. Yes.
Fireworks after the ball game tonight, and then again tomorrow on the 4th of July. Great weekend. Fans, feed your Rockies fever at Taco Bell. If the Rockies score 7 or more runs during any game, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 and feed your fever with 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink. Now that's a steal. A reminder, only 1 order per customer. Brad Hoppe will lead it off in the second inning against Max Scherzer. He had a strikeout in the 1-2-3 first inning. And the sinking fastball misses. Brad had 2 of the Rockies' 3 hits Wednesday against Kershaw and company at Dodger Stadium. Outside, 2-0 on Brad.
On that ball game, Kershaw was obviously a part of it, but not a big part of it. And when I say that, their bullpen came in and just blew away people, as it did in the other game, where the extra inning ball game, 13 innings.
I think their bullpen, George, is the best we've seen this year.
Well, I might agree with you. I know this much. That big donkey they got back at the end of that thing's pretty good. He had 99 again on Wednesday.
Yeah, he's unbelievable. And then Belisario and Troncoso, they're pretty good also.
they've done a nice job, and the young kid they brought up, Leach, the left-hander out of the bullpen, has done a very good job. He's 92-95, and a nasty curveball to go with it. Young man out of Mississippi.
Yeah, and with Brad Hopp retired, Troy Tulowitzki will come up. On June 6th, virtually a month ago, Tula was hitting .216. He's hit .329 since.
Well, he tried to lay down a couple of butts for base hits the other day, because I looked at it defensively at the Arizona Diamondbacks. I'm going, why is Reynolds up even with the bat with Tulowitzki? Well, the other day he laid down a bunt for a base hit. He tried another one in LA in the Wednesday game against Kershaw. But,
Justin Upton with the great speed is going to get there.
It's kind of like Dexter Fowler at center. In right field, they just cover so much ground, and in center with Chris Young, the whole right side is pretty shored up defensively. Parra, one of the bright young stars in their organization, playing left tonight.
2 outs. That'll bring up Ian Stewart. Stewart hit a home run on the road trip. You look at a lot of the averages for the Rockies, and they're nothing to brag about on the road trip, but the Rockies won 5 out of 9, and most of the averages were pretty decent through Anaheim and Oakland. This ball is high and deep right center field. Did he get it? You bet. Home run, Ian Stewart, his 15th of the year, and it's 1-0 Colorado.
Second home run Scherzer's given up out on the road in his last 41 and 2/3 innings, and he got it. Tell you what, folks, when Stewart starts to swing the bat, as he does here on a fastball away from him, the long, high drive, the load to the backside, and I mean a complete follow-through all the way around this his body with the bat. Oh, what a pretty shot into that bullpen.
Chris Ionnet at the plate, takes ball 1. Well, that got the crowd that's still getting settled in on their feet. A capacity crowd tonight. Well, welcome back the Rockies. Welcome in the 4th of July weekend. And it's great to see, looking up in the upper deck and the far reaches of the upper deck, and seeing all the seats filled.
What a combination it is. The Rockies are playing great baseball, 10-2 at home. Fireworks tonight. It's the weekend. Remember, as a kid going to St. Louis with my dad, it's 4th of July baseball, man. You went and watched the Major League game if you could get tickets to go watch.
It's tough in St. Louis. Always a tough ticket there. 2 balls and a strike right now on Ionetta. Didn't pull the trigger, 3-1. I asked Jim Tracy this question before the ball game. He moved Ionetta up. Carlos Gonzalez, he's still trying to get his feet underneath him. He's striking out a lot, and he moved him to the 8 hole. And at first glance, you say, oh, well, that makes sense. This ball's a base hit up the middle. But the reason I asked Tracy, did you have to do, did you think long and hard about that? I didn't say it that way. Obviously, he thinks long and hard about every decision. And the point being is, Ionetta has such a good eye. He's able to turn the lineup over frequently. And Tracy acknowledged that, and he said, you know what, we're going to do it today. That doesn't mean we're going to do it tomorrow. Ionetta has become a really solid 8-hole hitter for that reason.
Well, absolutely it has, and particularly whenever you have a weak or light hitting pitcher in the back behind him. It just magnifies the importance of him hitting 8th in the lineup.
So Gonzo at 210.
Playing against one of his former teams in the last couple of weeks. It was the Oakland A's last week. Now the Arizona Diamondbacks this week.
That's right. And he did a great job against the A's.
That throw he made to home plate. Guy's out by 10 feet.
George, there's nothing. We watched him all spring. There's nothing he can't do. He runs very well. He can hit the ball at any part of the ballpark. He's got that great throwing arm you mentioned. This ball's fouled off.
A matter of getting comfortable. A matter of believing in his swing. When he falls behind it counts, 0-2 type counts. This is when the breaker ball comes in, typically to the back foot. Now we'll see if their scouting report has the same thing. I did not see an advanced scout on any of that trip with the Arizona Diamondbacks. I saw a scout there with the Diamondbacks. Mike Scoba was there. He was doing team coverage at the time.
And Gonzalez tardy with the swing. He's got on 3 pitches, but the Rockies take a 1-0 lead on a long home run off the bat of Ian Stewart, who leads the club with 15 big flies. And the Rockies are 29-6 when they score first. FSN is brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters. Donate your car to Big Brothers Big Sisters. You'll get a free tow tax break, and you'll help change a kid's life. By Dex, take the sport out of finding local information with Dex. Find what you need when you need it and print online at dexknows.com. And by the Great Colorado Payback, reuniting you with your money. That fan is thrilled knowing it's the 4th of July weekend and the Rockies are up 1-0 on the Ian Stewart home run. Augie Ojeda out of the 8-hole will lead it off in the 3rd. Takes a fastball for a strike. Ojeda, who played collegiately at the University of Tennessee. De La Rosa steps off. Ojeda has only 3 hits from the right side of the plate this year and 29 at bats. That's a fancy curveball.
Very good curveball with less velocity, about 20 than his fastball. At 75 miles an hour.
And the 0-2 on Ojeda. See you later. Well, he did the curveball, and then he showed him the hard slider to the back foot, and Ojeda's gone. That's the first strikeout of the night for De La Rosa. That'll bring up Scherzer. Time for our Geico quote of the day. Walt Whitman, I see great things in baseball. It's our game, the American game. Boy, was he ever right. Scherzer swats at that and fouls it off. Rockies are leading all National League teams in pitcher batting average, and that's not surprising with the way Marquis swings the bat. Jimenez having a good year. Cook swings the bat. Arizona's next. Rockies at 168, and then Arizona at 163. Padres at 160, and then the Cards at 153. There's a guy that would like to be in the lineup every day, Marquis. Here's the 0-2 on Scherzer, and he's gone on a breaking pitch away. 2 quick strikeouts, 2 quick outs, and Felipe Lopez will come up.
That's one thing that De La Rosa can't do on the season. 87 punch-outs and 81 in the 3rd innings. He can do that. It's just been that one big inning and a start that seems to jump after him at times. And if you look back at his starts over the year, this inning, the 3rd inning, has been a bugaboo for him. 17 runs given up of his 54 have come in the 3rd inning, 14 in the 4th.
I had that as a strike. What'd you have that as, George, right there?
Sounded like a strike. I was actually reading something, so I was listening to the pitch instead of seeing the pitch.
Well, you were right. It did sound like a strike. It also looked like a strike. Here's the 1-0 on Lopez. And he hits it sharply, and it's picked up by Ian Stewart. And that's all for the Diamondbacks. Very nice inning for De La Rosa. Rockies up 1-0 as we move to the bottom of the third at Coors Field. Well, 1-0 Colorado on an Ian Stewart home run into the Rockies bullpen. De La Rosa will lead it off in the third to be followed by Dexter Fowler and Clint Barmas against Max Scherzer. And that pitch in there for a strike. De La Rosa at 0-48. You say, well, how do you arrive at 0-48? Well, it's simple. You have one hit and 21 at bats, and you're 0-48. And over the bag now. Georgie was very close to 2 for 22.
Well, paid to pitch, not hit.
Is that a commentary on his swing?
Well, no, I just paid to pitch, not hit.
Okay.
I'll leave it at that.
I got you.
Well, American League guy spends a lot of time with Kansas City. Not somebody that swings the bat very well. And when they run it up to 95, it's not fair.
Third strikeout for Scherzer. That'll bring up Dexter Fowler. Tonight's legendary performance play is brought to you by Cabot Wood Stains. On this date in 1963, Warren Spahn pitches 15 in the third innings, while Juan Marichal pitches 16. The Giants win 1-0 as both pitchers go the distance. Could you imagine in today's game if that ever happened?
That ain't happening in today's game. Not unless they took 2 buses and the bullpen's bus didn't make it.
It still wouldn't happen. A second baseman be throwing. 2 outs. That'll bring up Barmas as Fowler was retired. Yeah, Jason Marquis threw 9 innings and 86 pitches. So, you know, at that rate, you have a chance to get into the teens. Complete game he threw at Dodger Stadium on Tuesday. Scherzer, George, kind of has a 3/4 arm slot, kind of slings it across the plate.
And it's gotten better. It used to be a lot worse than that. It used to be down much lower than it was across the body. Still a little bit across, but they've really kind of straightened things up.
In the air to left field. And that's all for the Rockies in the third inning. We move on to inning number 4, 1-0.
Rockies with a 1-0 lead here going top of the 4th inning. Let's get you the Aflac trivia question for this July 3rd night. Justin Upton, who is in right field, of course, tonight for the Diamondbacks. Youngest Diamondback player ever. He debuted 23 days before he turned 20. He was 19. That's a couple of seasons ago. Question is, can you name the youngest Rockies player ever? We'll get you that answer coming up. We go back to the booth to Drew and George, guys.
All right, Mark, that's a good question. Here's Ryan Roberts to lead it off out of the 2-hole. He had a ground ball to second his first time up. And that fastball moves inside, ball 1. That's in there for a strike, a ball and a strike. Ryan Roberts, 28-year-old from Fort Worth, Texas. And a little bit high, 2 balls and a strike. He's another kid that went to the University of Texas, Arlington. They have a nice baseball program.
They do at the University of Texas at Arlington. And, you know, that's kind of University of Texas San Antonio. Fly ball into left center. Dexter will wave everybody off and make a play on it. University of Texas San Antonio, longtime coach Mickey Lashley retired a couple of years, but that's in that same grouping of teams that play against like Dallas Baptist, which the Rockies have gone and gotten some pitchers out of there this year. A 3rd-round pick, hard-throwing right-hander came out of there.
Well, the Rockies made a trade yesterday. I don't know if some of you missed it. Jeff Baker was sent to the Cubs for a pitcher the Rockies are sending to Tulsa, right-handed pitcher Al Albuquerque. And Albuquerque this year at 44 strikeouts, just 14 walks, a low ERA, working out of the bullpen. He had started in the past. The thing about Albuquerque, he's got a very good arm, not a big guy, very big arm, right-handed. He has had a couple of arm surgeries over the last 5 years where he's had to miss time. So he's a guy the Rockies believe if he keeps pitching the way he has, George, they can move quickly and perhaps can help him out in the pen.
Well, and again, this is a guy that's had some difficulty with his arm, but he's supposedly over those issues. He's throwing the ball well, hard. I asked somebody the other after the trade that I said, who's he remind you of? And he said a little bit of Alberto Arias, now pitching in the big leagues with the Houston Astros. He used to be with the Rocky organization.
Here's the 2-0 to Upton, and that's pulled foul.
Very quick on that inner half. And when the season started, his bat was wrapped more. His bat was wrapped more to where the end of the bat, or the barrel of the bat, I should say, was not even. In other words, let him bring it up here and set and see. And you'll see the angles on this bat. Now see how the bat was there? It was even more this way. And he's kind of gotten that straightened up a little bit, and he's starting his delivery to the ball much faster. And by doing that, it's helped him get the balls quicker, and obviously everything's gotten better. 14 home runs, 45 RBIs, an average of 3 a week.
He was striking out the first couple of weeks of the season, every other at bat. There's the 3-1, and that misses. So a 1-out walk to Upton in front of Mark Reynolds.
Well, all-star kids, all the kids coming through the gates on Saturday, July 11th, will receive a pack of Disney G-Force trading cards, courtesy of Disney. July 11th. That's the ball game. That's the date. That's the day you get the G-Force trading cards from Disney. So purchase your tickets for that ball game versus the Atlanta Braves at any one of the ticket outlets. The G-Force trading cards by Disney.
You know, Reynolds last year hit 28 home runs, drove in 97, and a shot that's gloved by Stewart. He did not get the double play on Upton. Great play by Ian Stewart. 2 outs on the laser off the bat of Reynolds.
Well, probably because he was so deep out behind third base too when he caught the baseball. You're honoring the power of Reynolds. This ball hooked back to him with a right-hander up. He was able to make the play. Credit Upton too. Slammed the brakes on the minute he saw the ball on the line, and he made his way back to first base with a head-first slide. That's the same thing a lot of coaches you yell. I know you do, Drew, to a lot of the little leaguers. You coach Zach's team, you coach Jacobs. Less than 2 outs, freeze on the line drive.
And that's what Upton did, allowing him to get back. Gerardo Parra swings through that first pitch. He grounded into a double play his first time up. Rockies up 1-0. They have a couple of hits, just one hit for the Diamondbacks as they hit with 2 outs here in the 4th. And a shattered bat, easy play for Tulowitzki. And another nice job by De La Rosa, the only base runner, a 1-out walk to Upton. Helton, Hop, and Tulowitzki when we come back. $7,5000 online at safelight.com. Here's Todd Helton, and he fouls this pitch off. Grounded to second his first time up against Max Scherzer. Both hits the Rockies have against Scherzer came in the second inning with 2 outs. Stewart hit one into the bullpen, the Rockies' pen, and then Chris Iannetta singled up the middle. 1 ball and 1 strike on Helton, who has a lifetime .361 average at Coors Field. And how about this for balance? In 2009, he's hitting .312 at Coors Field, .312 out on the road.
I would say that's pretty evenly balanced.
That is. The Rockies' schedule will not be over the next 20 days. They'll play 16 at home. Actually, it's more than now at the All-Star break. Down the left field line, and that is a fair ball. Into the corner. Here goes Mr. Double into second base. Todd Helton. For Todd, that is .492.
And the last pitch you expect to see from Scherzer is a changeup. He goes 95 hard slider. Well, guess what? Here comes the circle change. Really tried to rotate and pronate to get that ball to sink out of the zone. This is a good pitch, folks, but that may be a Hall of Fame hitter at the plate. He just took it to the opposite field with authority on an 85-mile-an-hour changeup, obviously out of the reach of power, and into second base. Todd Helton.
And the right guy up, Brad Hop. And Brad bounces it past Tulowitzki on the on-deck circle.
That's funny. I said to Jim Tracy, I go, you keep doing this every day, and I don't understand it. Why do you keep hitting Helton third and Hop fourth? All they do is complain about everything. They're always arguing with their teammates. He just busted out laughing. These guys just show up and hit. They love to hit. And they're feeling, you know, one of the big things was a lot of times, you've got to be careful with Ojeda sneaking in behind you. One of the big things was, you can't have lefties back-to-back because they got a bullpen. Well, these two guys hit left-handers. I mean, Hop's proven that this year.
And you know what? With Garrett Atkins now not playing every day, Ian Stewart is, you're going to have a lefty in there in the 4-hole anyhow, unless you hit Tulowitzki, let's say, there. So why not just do it? And that's Jim Tracy's, mode of operation now. Against a good lefty, when Helton and Hopper both in the lineup, you will see Atkins back in the 4-hole. That's kind of how he's been operating.
Kershaw is one of the best left-handers in the game. I mean, he runs it up to 96 miles an hour with a nasty slider. Hopper had 2 hits against him the other day.
Yep.
Left center field gap kind of wide open, isn't it?
This ball in the air to deep right center field. And at the track, it is caught. Helton tags up. And he goes to third. So Brad Hopp does his job. He came within about 3 or 4 feet of plating both Helton and himself.
Yeah, he might have taken a little breath away from Max Scherzer on the mound when that ball left the bat. It had the same type of ball flight that Stewart's did that ended up in the bullpen. Just lacked a little bit of the distance, being in dead center field at 415.
Todd in 55th place on the all-time doubles list with his 492nd. He's now at third base. The infield is back. They're conceding the run. Troy Tulowitzki at the plate. So the corners are even with the bat. So Troy wants to stay in the middle of the field here. This is one of those situational at-bats that kind of failed the Rockies a bit in the Dodgers series, particularly that extra inning affair that they ended up losing in the 13th on the Ethier walk-off. They had opportunities if you just got the ball in play, that 10th inning.
Watching Chip Hale, a former middle infielder, just went over to A.J. Hinch, and I think what he said to him, if we get to 0-2, do you want to bring the infield halfway? That way, because it's going to be more of a breaking ball situation for Max Scherzer or a high ball. And that's right here, Chip Hale. This is your manager right here. And then Chip's right over here next to him. But they're talking about the defensive alignment of what they should do. Now, it appears they're going to leave the middle back and take the out if it presents itself here in the middle of the ball game. A lot of times you change it from a pitch to pitch, because if you get in a slider situation, a lot of times it's swing and miss or top the ball.
See if Tulowitzki spreads out.
Hard heater in.
And he got him. He missed location, but he struck him out with a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, and now it'll take a 2-out knock to bring Helton home.
Well, you can miss with a pitch if you're throwing at 98. You're looking for the ball in here, and if it happens to sail out away from it, so be it, but that's knee high on an 0-2 count.
You know, you always look back, George, just like overall you look back at a ball game in the 9th inning if you didn't score and you had an opportunity to do so. And oftentimes it's something that happened before then. In that at bat for Tulowitzki, it was the 0-1 pitch that was very hittable, and he fouled it off. He gets that one in play. You never deal with the 0-2 pitch and then the nastiness of a 98-mile-an-hour fastball on the black.
Exactly. That's exactly right. Even though he missed location, it's still 98 and it's still on the knees. The Rockies have hit 266 with 2 outs and a runner in scoring position. Scherzer's first ball missed hard in, then he goes away at 97. The right-handed hitting Iannetta in the on-deck circle. And folks, I can tell you now, yes, he's pitching to Stewart, but also in a pitcher's mind, when you gave up a home run to a guy and you thought you made a pretty good pitch on him, you're still a little bit reluctant. You'd rather go after the other right-on-right situation in your mind.
2-0 on Stewart. And that had split action.
Well, that's a big circle change with a bunch of dive to it. Here's the home run we're talking about. Up, out, over the plate on a mistake up. Stewart unloaded on it. Put it out into the Rockies bullpen. Now, the 2-0 pitch to Stewart in this at-bat was the changeup. And what he does, he throws a circle and really pronates inside of it, so you create a downward spiral on the baseball. It creates that big move.
3-1. See if he gets in with the fastball here. I don't think he will.
Yeah, see, he went to changeup on a 2-0 count, so he's just kind of in that same frame on a 3-1 count, throws it again. And it's nasty because of the way he's holding the baseball and creating that big move down and away.
Three and 2 with 2 outs on Ian Stewart. And this is softly hit, shallow left center field, and coming on and making the catch is Parra. So the Rockies waste an opportunity. Helton, who had a leadoff double, reaches third and no further. Brought to you by your Colorado Hyundai dealers. For a limited time, finance or lease any new Hyundai. And if in the next year you lose your income, we'll make your payment for 3 months. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit us at geico.com or call 1-800-947-AUTO. And by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service, warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. Ball games very similar to ones we saw at Dodger Stadium earlier in the week. 1-0, fifth inning. Fortunately, the Rockies have the one. It was an Ian Stewart home run in the second, his 15th of the year. He leads the club in that department. Jorge De La Rosa misses on the first offering to Chris Young, who walked back in the second inning. Remember at the start of the year, the Rockies opened with Arizona. And we were looking at the Arizona Diamondbacks schedule in April, and we said, how can this be? I mean, they virtually played every game in April at
26,
home.
I believe.
It was, George, you and I both remarked we'd never seen it.
And it's really a nightmare for you. And you think, oh, man, what do you mean you're playing all your games at home? Financially, for a ball club, if you get off to a poor start, which they did, it's going to hurt you at the gate. And plus, school's not out yet, so you don't get the young crowd at the ballpark because of so many games. Now, they tried to start the games early. They tried a lot of different starting times at 6:05, 5:30 to draw those crowds in on school nights. It's just very difficult to do.
George, they played 22 games in the month of April. Remember, the season started a week later because of the WBC. So 22 games in April, 18 were at Chase Field. But they did not play well. And now they find themselves 17 below 500. Ball four. A leadoff walk to Young, and that's not a good thing. Let's check in with Mark Stout.
All right, Drew, Aflac trivia tonight was about Justin Upton. Upton, youngest player ever to wear a Diamondbacks uniform. What about the youngest Rocky ever? Well, you'll like this. This is ironic. The answer is Jamie Wright. He was 21 years, 6 months, and 10 days old when he made his debut on this day in 1996. He started at Candlestick Park against the Giants, threw 6 strong innings. And good for Jamie Wright. If you don't know about him, he is still pitching in the big leagues in his 14th year with the Kansas City Royals. He was the youngest Rocky ever, guys.
Mark Stout, where was he born?
Oklahoma, right?
Oh, you're so good.
No, I know. I don't know what town.
Well, he lives in Midwest City now, but he went to Westmore High School.
Oklahoma City?
Yes.
Very good.
You've done well.
Have you seen him pitch with the Royals this year?
I have not.
You have not? I know he's in the pen.
I've heard great reports. Well, that's probably where he belongs because he does such a great job with that hard sinker. He's got one of the best pickoff moves of a right-hander in the game of baseball.
Hey, Mark, one more. You remember what his nickname was? Or is?
The Big Handsome, if I'm not wrong.
That's absolutely right.
Yeah.
The Big Handsome.
Good-looking guy.
Yep.
I think we can
Good
say
guy.
that. Yeah.
You know what? Jim Armatrat, our director tonight, George, you know, we're going to have to kick him out of the booth.
Well, I didn't think he was going to have the ability to turn it. I'm going to tell you why. When Clint came across the bag, he tried to get out of the way, all right? But what happened was it almost looked like his foot got hung in front of the bag. We're going to look at it again here. 9 ground ball outs now for De La Rosa, but coming over, I mean, see how off balance he was on the throw, and it was high. There wasn't a lot behind it, so it was almost he had like a front foot throw. You see as they hustling down that first base line, he does get there ahead of the ball. But for Barmes at second, not one of his prettier turns, but I think it was all due to the footwork getting crossed up a little bit.
And another chance. This gets redirected to Tulowitzki. Barmes got enough on that one. 6-4-3. Actually, 1-6-4-3. And we move on to the bottom of the 5th inning. Leadoff walk did not hurt De La Rosa. Well, celebrate Independence Day with FSN Rocky Mountain tomorrow night. Of course, catch the ball game right here, and then afterward, join us live for the fireworks show in HD, live from Coors Field. And happy 4th of July from all of us at FSN Rocky Mountain. Well, the house is packed. There'll be fireworks after the ball game. Rockies nursing a 1-0 lead behind the shutout pitching of Jorge De La Rosa. And it'll be Chris Iannetta, Carlos Gonzalez, and De La Rosa to face Max Scherzer in the bottom of the 5th inning. George, that last inning was key. The leadoff man, a guy who can really run, though he's got an injured groin. Chris Young is at first base with nobody out. And just a few pitches later, the Rockies were in the dugout. That was key for De La Rosa.
11 ground ball outs for De La Rosa in this game. He's only struck out 2. He's got a couple of fly ball outs, but the ball hadn't been hit hard, knock on wood, because his troubled innings had been the 3rd and 4th inning, where he'd given up 31 of his 54 runs on the season. So now as a result of that, he's made it through there, and you're kind of like, all right, I made it through the 5th inning. Jeff Houston mentioned in the pregame show, the 6th inning is about the time you got to look to pull the plug on De La Rosa. I think with his pitch count and the way it has worked here, because Iannetta is going to pick up his 2nd base hit of the night. The way his pitch count is, obviously he could go deeper into this ball game.
Leadoff single for Chris. He's 2 for 2. He had a nice homestand last time. The Rockies, when they went 8-1, Iannetta drove in 8 runs on that homestand. Chris aboard and Carlos Gonzalez at the plate. I asked Don Baylor before the game, I said, what do you do with a guy like Cargo, who is really, in the hitting vernacular, George, swinging when the ball's coming out of the pitcher's hand?
He's had a tough time. I mean, he's trying to be too anxious. He's trying to put up big numbers with one swing. He's trying to make sure he gets in a position to show what he did in AAA with the 60 RBIs, the average up well in the high, mid 300s. that he wants to show all of that here and that he's not a 4A player or that he is not ready. Well, a lot of times when you do that, you just get over anxious at the plate. And it never fails. When you're in a slump, there's that borderline pitch. Instead of being 1-0, all of a sudden it's 0-1. You know, and they just paint on it. And that's another thing that you just got to grow through. He doesn't show outwardly a lack of confidence for success, and I think that's probably good.
You can't play this game if you don't have confidence, even when things are not going well.
And sometimes guys think that they take that as an arrogance. They take it as a cover-up for the lack of confidence.
Slowly hit toward first, and the tag made on Gonzalez. So moving to second base is Iannetta, and that'll bring up De La Rosa. Firestone League leaders. How about the best records in baseball when the team scores first? The Rockies are better than everybody in the game. 29-6 this year when they score first. Well, De La Rosa looking for his second RBI. That'd be a nice time for it. And slowly hit to short. Ojeda throws out.
Well, Rockies fans, don't forget about the green packs. It's a great way to help the environment while you're enjoying a great day at the ballpark watching Rockies baseball. You get 2 tickets for the $20 you spend, and $5 of each pack sold is going to our Wood for Wood tree planting program. It's available during the week. The Green Week is July 5th through the 12th. So July 5th through the 12th, you can buy your green packs, $20. $5 goes back to help for a tree planting program. Go to ColoradoRockies.com to purchase those tickets today.
Creeping in at third is Roberts, and it's outside ball 1. One has to go through your mind if you're a corner infielder right now with Dexter Fowler.
Scherzer, a very good athlete on the mound.
And young at 24 and athletic, as you said, George. So see what Dexter does. Didn't pull the trigger there. It's 2-0. Dexter struck out looking in the first and then grounded to second in the third. That's a strike. Yeah, it's funny. Tom Hallion, who's very demonstrative when it's a called third strike, real casual with just the strike 1 and strike 2.
Saving energy.
Yeah, well, evidently.
To make that punch out call.
Good
swing.
He got
one there to hit.
Yeah, he did. Up in the zone at 96. Dexter fouled it straight back. So it's 2-2 on Fowler. Rockies have won 5 straight here at Coors Field, 10 of 12. That's going to go foul.
Good things happen for the Rockies. And when I bring this up, folks, and I know there's 2 outs, I'm just going to mention this. You get a crowd like this in the house. Yes, a lot of them are here to see fireworks. It is a wonderful fireworks show. But out of all these people coming, if 40% are here to watch baseball and 60 are here to watch some fireworks, now they're getting a treat to watch a very good baseball team. Part of that 40%, or whatever percentage you want to put on it, all of a sudden they may come back to watch some good Rocky baseball again. A lot of people in the Midwest come here. This is, outside of Kansas City, really the closest place you come to watch Major League Baseball. Out of western Kansas, Nebraska, Wyoming, New Mexico, Utah to come down and watch this type of baseball.
3-2, loop down the left field line. Fair ball. Chris Iannetta scores. Dexter Fowler digging for 2. And he's in with a double. The throw goes beyond. The first baseman backing up Fowler to third. He's coming home. Dexter's going to score easily. How about that? 3-0 Colorado. In any sport, maybe the most coveted attribute is speed. And Fowler showed it off there. That's a Little League home run.
What a great pitch this is for Fowler, too. On the inside part of the plate, he just inside out the baseball, hands close to the body, and then it's off to the races. The mistake made by the Diamondbacks as Iannetta scores is that you have a first baseman, and Reynolds, that has not played first base, is off in his natural position, third base. So now as Dexter's running and his throw comes into second, It's going to get away from the second baseman. It's going to head out into the outfield after it gets by Lopez. But Reynolds was not in line to back the throw up from the first baseman. So the error is created in left field by Parra, and for Parra, it's his 4th error at the big league level. Reynolds made the mistake of not getting in line with the throw and backing it up. You take him any way you get him.
And a good job, George, by Richie Dower, the third base coach, being able to see and know who's running, that Fowler could get all the way to the plate.
I think that's the easy choice. The hard choice is, when it gets over here, Drew, can they get to a Justin Upton who has a 7 arm in the game? Is he going to get there quick enough? And the race was on, but about the time that Dexter hit third base and had a couple of steps around, that's when Upton had gotten to the baseball. But because you are in full momentum swing and Dexter Fowler, it made that play a little bit easier, that they had to make the perfect throw. As Dexter went into second, Parra had to make the perfect throw. He didn't do it.
George, he did a very nice job pulling his hands in and getting decent wood on that fastball on the inner half. Scherzer strikes out Barmes, but the Rockies get 2 in the 5th with a little help from one of the poorest defenses in the National League. 3-0 Colorado. In a run and then scoots around the bases on the Parra error to score the Rockies' 3rd run. George, here's something interesting. Dexter on a pop-up slide at second. I don't think he ever touched the bag.
Well, coming in, it's going to be a little bit short here. Did he get it with his shoe right on the corner when he pops up right there? No, I think I see some dirt in between his shoe and the bag. That went over the top. The back one stayed behind it, and then he just stepped out over the top. Well, guess what? They went in through the other pitch, got through it all, and can't do anything about it now.
No.
But that's where Reynolds should be watching, because he's the trail guy coming. See if he caught the bag. As a pitcher, you watch to see if he caught the bag. There should be somebody watching that, but it's unfortunate because on plays like that, when the ball goes down in the corner, guys are running, throws coming in, he overthrows. What's everybody doing? They're watching the baseball.
1 ball and 1 strike on Max Scherzer. This is looped to shallow center, and it's going to drop. So Max Scherzer with a leadoff single. It's the 3rd time in the ball game the leadoff man has reached for Arizona.
Just 60 pitches in the ball game now for De La Rosa. 37 of those are strikes. Lorenzo Bundy, a former Rockies coach under Jim Leyland, who's worked at first base for the Diamondbacks.
George, by the way, that error on Parra was the 72nd committed by the Diamondbacks this year. That is 15th in the National League. In other words, their defense has been very poor.
15 out of 16 teams. That's not good.
Felipe Lopez at the plate, and chops it foul. Lopez, a switch hitter, time with Cincinnati and Washington. Came to Arizona late last year, did a very good job. Arizona re-signed him when Orlando Hudson was not re-signed as a free agent. That is a fair ball. They get Scherzer at second. Good job. Just make sure of getting it out there, the force out. That's most important. Protect the lead. One out. And Lopez trades places with Scherzer.
Well, if you don't have the strong arm, and that's what Stewart has, I mean, extremely accurate arm to go along with that arm strength, will make plays like that. Stretch as a first baseman, as Barmes did at second base, to continue to get the out, get the lead man.
Ryan Roberts ground ball to second and a fly ball to center field. Diamondbacks have been scuffling with the bat all year. With that bloop single by Scherzer, they now have 8 hits in their last 2.5 games. That's it. Roberts has hit well at Chase Field, .311. Not so much, as they say on the road, George.
That's
171.
Right. He had difficult times out on the road for him.
That's how bad it was for Cincinnati yesterday. They loaded the bases twice yesterday and didn't score. This is a bullet up the middle, a base hit for Roberts. Stopping at second base is Lopez. So 2 on for Justin Upton, and he represents the tying run. So De La Rosa needs to be cautious here.
Well, you're working into that part of the lineup, but unfortunately for this situation, you don't have anybody warming up if you're Jim Tracy right now because of the cruise control that De La Rosa was on. So he's going to have to face their 2 big power guys. Let him go face them because there's nobody up, and they can't get ready in time to come back out of here. And folks, De La Rosa's given up 3 hits in 5 1/3 innings. He has dominated this lineup of the Diamondbacks.
Now, don't pitch in fear, right, George?
That's right. Pitch aggressively. Go right at guys. You're going to give up hits. Go right at them. I used to like to do that as a pitcher. Make them dive back in there like you think you're going to throw it and they get all dirty. Look at you like, what'd you go throw it? Throw it.
That's in there for a strike. Good spot.
Looking back and seeing what De La Rosa has done in this ball game and how he's had quick innings and a couple of long ones, 19 in the second, but ever since then, everything has run very smoothly for him. Here in the 6th, he has 9, a total of 66 pitches.
You know, that pitch count is very much unlike a De La Rosa out.
Now, looking back at his statistics, it's not hard. I mean, you can look and see 5 1/3, 104 pitches, 6 1/3, 100 pitches. Now, another start was 8 innings. He went 100 to 106, but then a lot of starts at 5 to 6+ innings, well over 100. He's just at 67.
36 home runs represented by the guy at the plate and the next guy, Mark Reynolds. Only 14 represented by the rest of the lineup. So De La Rosa ahead right now on Upton, 0-2. With 1 out and 2 on. Rockies up 3-0, top of inning number 6. I'll tell you what, back in the first couple of weeks of April, Upton would have swung at that. Upton is a different hitter than he was early this season. You remember, George, I mean, he was
ugly.
He was swinging at absolutely everything. You didn't have to throw him a strike.
Even 3 weeks into the season, there was talk that he may be sent back to the minor leagues again to try to find that stroke.
Lopez at first, at second, Roberts at first.
In the past, this is where De La Rosa has done one of 2 things. He's either going to go hard slider right down here or change up down and away.
He got
the slider.
Good pitch by De La Rosa to strike out Upton. And George, I love the location because Upton wasn't going to hit that 400 feet.
No, but it's the start of the pitch out front that induced him to take this swing. On the Hyundai cam, you can see this pitch is starting out at about thigh high and going all the way down into the ground area. So he's thinking the pitch is here, and then all of a sudden he's got that dive, and as you can see, look, drop to one knee here to try to go down and hit that pitch. Didn't happen. Not going to happen.
And now Reynolds is up. Reynolds has singled and lined out to third in the ball game. 22 home runs. He leads the Diamondbacks in that department. 57 RBIs. He leads them in that department. And Mark with a very respectable 270 average.
Decent speed on the base pass. I say decent, just decent speed. They're at 64 stolen bases. It's third in the National League as a team. 76.2% success rate. Thinking Hinch might, oh, that's going to bounce away, and you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah, that's a shame. Now a base hit drives in too. So a wild pitch, allowing the runners to move up.
Well, a lot of people would ask at home, why is Iannetta out giving all those signs before the start of this thing? Change up. You can see the way this pitch is rotating away from the batter. So when it hit, Chris Iannetta dropped to the knees to try to scoop it into the glove. But you're also watching and seeing if this is going to come up or not. Unfortunately, it bounded away from him.
Two 2-0 on Reynolds with 2 outs. 2 in scoring position now for Arizona. Rockies up 3-0, and it's fouled back.
Well, don't forget about this, folks. You think that the All-Star voting was over. Not just quite yet. From July 5th through the 9th, you can vote for the 32nd and final player for each league roster. Go to ColoradoRockies.com and cast your All-Star game final vote for the final 2 All-Stars for this ball game in St. Louis. Now, I do understand that there is a manager's choice now, the 33rd player.
Yeah.
So that won't, the 32nd will be the final put in by the fans. There will be a 33rd pick. Yeah,
one of the things Jim Tracy, I'm sure, is thinking about, Reynolds is hitting 273 against lefties. Par on deck, 171. Now it's a moot point. You got the count at 2-2. A lot of holes with Reynolds, but a very dangerous guy. You got a rookie on deck who has not hit lefties very well.
He has not hit lefties very well, but again, I think maybe that thought process of putting a guy out. Who do they have right-handed on their bench? They have Tony Clark. If they wanted to make a big pinch-hitting move at that time, they could have.
Wow, just missed. Tried to paint the outside corner with a slider. And you know what? Stay out there. Don't give Reynolds anything that he can do damage with.
Well, it is off of the plate, but you would think that he would have jumped on that pitch, but he recognized changeup. See how his body went forward as the pitch approached. So you had the commitment of swinging early. You didn't have the commitment of the pitch in where maybe he'd make a swing at it. Just what Drew talked about. 273, 4 home runs against left-handed pitching.
They're going out there again. Same pitch, and he missed with the changeup. Virtually the same spot. And you know what? You tip your hat if you're De La Rosa. He made 2 outstanding pitches.
Well, I thought that last pitch may be a slider. And the only reason I say watch the break on this. Now, it's changeup coming off of it, but he worked inside the ball to create kind of a slider move to it. This is not a bad move. Drew just talked about this. There's nothing wrong. You say, wait a minute, he walked the tying run. Yeah, but he's got a weak hitting left-handed up at the plate right now. So if you'll throw strikes, and I like what Bob did. Bob Apodaca goes to the mound. Settle down just a little bit. Calm down. We're going to make this. Now, the Diamondbacks, Drew mentioned a minute ago, folks, how much they have struggled to score runs. Well, it's even been worse with 2 outs and bases loaded. Just 138 as a team. Make your pitches, get out of the inning.
You got the lone left-handed bat in their lineup at the plate. Said it a moment ago, he's hitting 171, 6 for 35, left on left. And a ground ball on 2 hops to Tulowitzki.
Oh, the drama for nothing.
For nothing. Great job by De La Rosa. He handles that situation as Arizona leaves him loaded. 3-0 Colorado. Back to the sixth inning, time for the Coors Light freeze can. Second inning, Ian Stewart on the first pitch he sees of the evening from Max Scherzer. And he squared it up and hit it close to 400 feet. It was 1-0 Colorado. Since then, the Rockies have added 2. Jorge De La Rosa has pitched shutout baseball for 6 innings. In the bottom of the sixth, there'll be a fellow named Todd Helton to lead it off. He doubled his last time up. He's 1 for 2. And Todd takes a fastball in the outside corner from Max Scherzer.
How about this? Lopez was the first time, if you're thinking you're sitting at home going, Jim Tracy, answer the phone. I'm trying to get a hold of you. De La Rosa's giving you 6 shutout innings. He had an 800 run average start of the game. Get him out of there. Folks, Lopez first guy to get past second base in the ball game back in the 6th inning. He's been pretty good.
And he's been awfully good. And you have the bottom 4 in the lineup coming up in the 7th inning. Help build confidence. 2 balls and a strike. You know, pitching staffs, whether they're starters or even you guys, George, down in the bullpen, you talk about passing the baton. The rotation has been so good. You never want to have a bad outing, obviously, but you don't want to let any of your teammates down. I mean, Hamill was terrific on Wednesday. Complete game. Jason Marquis had a complete game on Tuesday. First time since '06 the Rockies had back-to-back complete games. It was Jason Jennings and Jeff Francis to turn the trick 3+ years ago. And so far, De La Rosa holding up his end of the bargain and then some.
Yeah, absolutely. He's just been outstanding.
You want to talk about consistency. Helton in April hit .303, hit .320 in May. June he hit .309. Down low. This is his first ball game in July, and he's hit .500. George, can you believe that?
500.
500.
500.
Yeah. Ball 4. Check in again with Mark Stout as Helton goes to first. Mark?
Hey, Drew, time to do the decks this date in history, and we say happy birthday to a guy that wasn't a Rocky for a long time, but he hit a lot of home runs in his career. Greg Vaughn turns 44 today. He hit his last home run on this day in 2003 here at Coors Field against, ironically, the Diamondbacks. He came into a game in the 7th inning that was already out of hand. He made it 8-1, but he hit it off of a former Rocky who was with the Diamondbacks then, Mike Myers, who we see around the ballpark now because he works for the Players Union. And I asked him if he remembered the home run. He's like, Greg Vaughn, San Diego? Because this is in for a strike. And he goes, you know what? I remember almost all the home runs. He couldn't remember it. But Greg Vaughn hit 355 home runs, the last 3 in a Rockies uniform. And the last one was here on this day in '03, guys.
Yeah, Mike's
wait.
Mike's in the ballpark tonight.
I love Mike Myers to death. Every pitcher remembers every home run.
He said it, too. He could tell counts. He said, I remember all the home runs I gave up at Coors Field. Pokey Reese hit a 1-1 pitch out. He knew the pitches. He knew everything, but that one.
Pokey Reese was my daughter's favorite player. And the one you had to find a player. You know, you ever played a game, last letter of a guy's name, and you got to have the first letter of the next name? Pokey Reese. She came up with it every time. she was, George is now 17, but at that time, she was 4, and she called him Porky Reese. I said, no, his name is Pokey.
Yeah, well, he was in good shape. He wasn't Porky.
But disappeared quickly out of the big
league. Yeah, ground ball. Diving stop by Ojeda. And at first, out. What a play by Reynolds to hold on to the baseball. Ojeda robbing Brad Hopp of a hit. That wasn't right.
I want to see the play over at first again. Did he trap it against his chest, or how did he? I mean, what happened on this? Nice play by Ojeda. Then the strong throw over. It's going to hop, not to a first baseman. Well, he just kind of reached out, got it, and he just kept it to the body, and he hung on to it.
And he also kept his foot as he spun on the bag. That's a good call by the first base umpire, Scott Barry. Runner in scoring position is Todd Helton for Tulowitzki.
Well, one more look on the Hyundai cam about Brad as he makes that last stride. You bet. Hung right onto it. Look at that foot. Stay on the bag. Right on the top of the bag. Fortunate that Hopp did not step on that foot. Called by first base umpire Scott Barry.
Tulowitzki pulls it past Richie Dower. Wanted no part of that baseball. Not surprised. I would be sticking my hand out at that. 1 ball and 1 strike on Tulo. 0 for 2 tonight. Fly ball right field and punch out. 1-2. You can always tell, George, when Todd's feeling really good, because he was at his playful best today before the ball game.
Oh, great mood. Home.
Yeah.
Team's playing good. Having fun.
2 days of
rest.
R&R.
Yeah. Felt great.
Tulowitzki trying to snap out of an 0 for 15 slide, and he's behind in the count 1-2. And this ball is hit with authority to right center field. Upton's not going to get there. One hop off the wall. Helton cruises home. Tulowitzki, an RBI double, and the 0 for 15, a thing of the past.
Oh boy, I hope Tulowitzki didn't turn his ankle. Going into second base. Sure what happened out there right in front of the bag. See, got him moving around a little bit. Here's the swing on a fastball down and away. Swung and missed last time. Not this time. On the Hyundai Cam, see that ball drive out into right center field. And as Tulowitzki was going into second base, coming back in there on the throw from Justin Upton. Let's watch it right here and see what happened. Right there. See it rolled a little bit. That left ankle got rolled right out in front of the bag. Jim Tracy, Keith Duggar, Scotty Garrett out to check on Tulowitzki. Yeah, Scotty Garrett giving him a few tests right now, saying, "You ready to go?" "Yeah, I'm ready to go. We'll leave you in here." Jim Tracy will watch him run the bases too. Trying to just slow things down as he comes into second base. He knows he's not going any farther. See if it's a little muddy, maybe slick in there, what it is. Oh, yeah, his foot just slipped out from underneath of him, and it rolled up on the left side.
That was weird, huh? Ian Stewart, a home run, and a fly ball to left field at the plate. 4-0 Colorado. 4 runs on 6 hits. Bottom of the 6th inning. Outside ball 1 on Stewart. On the inside corner, good pitch. I got a little something for you, George, on Stewart. I mean, he has yet to really catch fire, and you know it's going to come. He's hitting much higher out on the road, George, than he is at home. He's hitting 149 at home.
Now, they always talk about the hitting eye here at Coors Field. The difference that it makes for hitters. Guys love to hit here. And he has had his struggles at Coors Field. But out on the road, damage has been good. A lot more home runs, 9. He's only hit 5 here at Coors Field.
Hey, the guy that we talked about, the fact that he's hitting over 400 at home, Brad Hopp. But Brad on the road's hitting 291, and 9 of his 13 home runs out on the road. I love to point those out because unfailingly, most members of the national media just assume every hitter who has decent stats for the Rockies has done it all at Coors Field.
Yeah, it's starting to wear me out a little bit with that, too. I'm starting to hear more and more of that everywhere that you go.
Do your homework. Good pitch, good swing. 1-2, it remains.
Well, you're talking about Stewart heating up. His 15 home runs is second in the National League, third baseman to Reynolds, who has 22. His 40 RBIs are tied for 5th among National League third basemen.
This will be the 93rd pitch by Scherzer. And it is popped up. Chris Young dropped the baseball. Here's Upton's throw to third. Not in time. Chris Young just flat dropped the baseball. He whiffed on it. Can't blame this one on the sun. It's set behind the stadium. And the problems defensively for Arizona continue.
Well, they've been a little bit of a highlight defensive team. You've seen on ESPN numerous times with them on highlights of showing miscues by Justin Upton and Wright by their first baseman. Reynolds whiffed on a ball one night. Well, he whiffed on a fly ball here, and then a strong throw and extended an inning on out. Mel Stottlemyre Jr., who was the minor league pitching coordinator when A.J. Hinch took over, out to visit with Scherzer for a few minutes. Brian Price replaced by Stottlemyre. The other change on the coaching side, Jack Howell became the hitting coach. Rick Shue left the ball club the same time Doug Melvin left. Bob Melvin, excuse me.
You know, Chris Young was gathering that in, trying to get ready to throw. And you got to catch the ball first. Nobody's going to go anywhere. I mean, he was 60 feet from second base, so Tulowitzki's not going to tag and take off for third.
He'll tell you that after the ball game, there was no excuse for it. The ball's got to be caught, and he messed it up. Plain and simple.
And he's a very good center fielder. Chris Ionnet at the plate takes ball one. So Stewart at first and Tulowitzki at third. Rockies have a chance to open up an even larger lead, up 4-0. Kind of pecked away at Scherzer. The home run in the second from Stewart, 2 in the fifth, 1 here in the sixth. Esmerelda Vasquez, Vasquez warming up in the Arizona bullpen. Esmeralda, wasn't that the mom on Bewitched? Or that was Endora?
Drew.
What?
You never saw Bewitched.
Of course I saw Bewitched. That was a great show. Elizabeth Montgomery.
Stop telling him, Doug.
1 ball, 1 strike on Ionetta. Chris 2 for 2 and a run scored. 2 singles to center field. And this ball right center field should be deep enough. Tulowitzki tagging. Upton's throw will be lobbed into the middle of the infield. It's 5-0. Chris Ionetta with his 28th RBI.
Taking advantage of mistakes made by their ball club defensively, and then putting the ball in play deep enough to get the run home. Big baseball with the home run of Stewart. Small baseball with Ionetta and a runner at third and 1 out.
And Chris Young with the expression that speaks 1,000 words. Carlos Gonzalez, a strikeout and a little roller back to the, actually up the first base line. Pitcher fielded at Scherzer and tagged him out. Rockies a year ago took them forever to produce their first sac fly. This is how much they've improved in situational hitting in 1 year. That's the 35th sac fly for the Rockies this year. #1 mark in the game. You know, ordinarily you'd say with Stewart, with the 8-hole hitter, swing the bat's not going to go anywhere. But if you get another inning out of De La Rosa, next inning you may be going to your bench anyhow. And now is a delayed steal. Nobody covering. That goes into center field. That's just awful. I mean, nobody covered. Luke Carlin just airmailed it to center field. And you get just a sense, watching them for the first time in a while, why Arizona is 31-48. A.J. Hinch can hardly look. That's awful.
It is really awful. Here's the ball coming out. You're going to hold the runners, and he sees he's going, but nobody in the infield did. After the pitch was thrown, they all put their heads down. So Stewart's going to come up with a stolen base, his 6th of the year, and then the error on Carlin behind the plate. That's his first of the season.
I mean, nobody moved in the middle of the diamond.
Well, Scherzer has not thrown a wild pitch this year, but it doesn't mean that he won't.
Here's the 2-1 to Gonzalez. That was a good pitch. Changeup. 2-2. Two errors in the inning. 3 in the ball game for Arizona. 5-0 Colorado. And Scherzer flips it to first.
27 pitches for Scherzer in that inning. Not all his fault.
Rockies get 2 more. 5-0. '97 for the Dodgers underway at Petco against San Diego. It's also the return after the 50-game suspension of Manny Ramirez. Some folks welcoming back Manny. I'm sure a lot of them, particularly in San Diego, will ride him. This is his first at bat. The slider missed, and he walked. I still, as Max Scherzer is not pleased, I still disagree with the policy that allows a guy who was suspended for 50 games for cheating to go down and have the opportunity to rehab, if you will, and get himself ready at the minor league level. But I guess it doesn't matter what I think.
Well, that's right. Our vote doesn't count with Major League Baseball or Bud Selig. But De La Rosa is back out on the mound for the 7th. Interesting, we showed you that shot. This is Dan Herron, who's an outstanding Major League pitcher. Going to turn 30 in September. A lot of time in the big league, spending a little time with a young guy saying, hey, look, drop fly ball. Errant throw into center field. A lot of things happen in that half inning. There's nothing you can do about those that just went on.
Chris Young with a base hit to center field. Fowler will fire it back in. So a leadoff single for Young. He's been on all 3 times. 2 walks and a base hit. Tonight's high-speed pitch is brought to you by Quest High-Speed Internet. Max Scherzer with a great arm. He's touched 98. De La Rosa has a great arm. He's touched 96. But the Rockies have all the runs on the evening. 5-0 they lead, despite the fact that they have only 6 hits. That was the 4th hit of the night against De La Rosa.
And a little leniency for Jim Tracy now with a 5-0 lead. De La Rosa the 5th time he's ventured into the 7th inning.
Helton may have a play on this. Todd trying to find it. Oh.
Not happy, but the way he had to go to get to the baseball.
A difficult one, because it wasn't
all
way
you
up
got to
in
do,
the air.
well, you kind of see as he's holding the runner on, he's taking off, and then the ball's spinning back to him. So he dropped his head, took off to the spot to where he thought the ball was going to be, and then tried to bend over backwards to try to catch it. It hit the heel of the glove, and then off of Todd's chest. Last slap of the glove, not very happy for him.
Luke Carlin's 0 for 2. And then he takes another strike. It's 0-2.
Daly, the right-hander, 7th inning guy, starting to warm up for Jim Tracy. Pitch count at 81. when a guy has struggled in a ballpark the way De La Rosa has, a lot of times as a manager, when you start to see a little bit of problems start coming, you want to make sure you get them out of that problem, leave the ball game feeling pretty good about yourself. Jimmy Wright monitoring the bullpen down there for the Rockies.
Jimmy, before injuries, pretty good right-hander in his day.
Well, I was there in '78 at a B game when he was with Philadelphia.
Here's the 1-2 on. Here's the 1-2 on Carlin. See you later. Oh man, you see that? We haven't seen this in the first inning.
We got to see it
Tom
again.
Halyett.
I don't want to replay the pitch. I want to see the umpire Tom Halyett. Watch this. And then call the chiropractor.
You know what? He needs a throat lozenge too after this, George.
Oh, look at the slow motion on the Hyundai cam, folks. I love it.
Watch Halyett. There. Come on, Tom. Come on, Tom.
How beautiful is that?
That was special. Best strike three call, called strike three call in baseball. He just went to the top of the list.
I wish you could have seen Dutch Rennert. He was pretty good.
I saw Dutch Rennert. He took 3 steps out to the right.
3 steps back and 1 over.
Yeah, is that what it was?
Exact,
okay.
yeah. And you could hear him all the way from home plate to the other side of the county. And you could do it when you could hear him call it a ball, too.
Augie Ojeda at the plate, 1-0. And this one's fouled off, 1-1. How about this, George? You're talking about the bullpen. In April, the Rockies' pen pitched almost 38% of the innings that the Rockies were on defense in. In May, it improved. They were out there a little less than 31% of the time. The starters were so dominant in June. They were only out there 26.8% of the time. Ojeda gives it a ride, left center field. Gonzalez is going to get there, I think. Yep. That's why it's really nice to have a tremendous athlete in left field. Matt Holliday became, I think, a very good defensive left fielder after playing out there for a few years. That's one of the toughest left fields in baseball, George. There's so much room out there.
The Ponderosa, I've affectionately called that since I got here in 1998 because of the room Drew's talking about, the big gaps out in the left center, down the lines. Very difficult to play, particularly if your center fielder is shading into right center at all.
Tony Clark is pinch hitting for Max Scherzer with 1 on and 2 outs. And a line drive to center field. Fowler backing up, reaching up, makes the catch, and that is all for Arizona in the 7th inning. De La Rosa continues to pitch exceptionally well. 5-0 Rockies. Stretch time at Coors Field.
Pay the lowest toll rate on E470, so why wait? Get your transponder today and start saving time and money. Remember, cash toll collection ends on the 4th of July, so beat the rush and open your account today.
Drive by Lee. This ball's back, and it's going to go! Tie game! A couple of
AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. Esmeralda Vasquez is the new pitcher for Arizona. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 1-800-COMCAST. Vasquez is a guy that'll run his fastball, George, up to 97, 98 miles an hour. Fastball, slider, occasional changeup. De La Rosa is scheduled to lead off for the Rockies. Let's check in with Mark Stout quickly. Mark, what do you know?
XL Energy fun fact for tonight, Drew, about Jorge De La Rosa, who signed a contract with the Diamondbacks when he was 18. We go back to 1998. He was with the Diamondbacks for 36 games in the minors, and then he was sold to Monterrey of Mexico. Then the Red Sox got him, and the Red Sox from there, they thought he was a prospect. He worked himself all the way up to AAA, and then was part of the Kurt Schilling deal between Boston and Arizona in November of 2003. That was on November the 28th. 3 days later, he was traded by Arizona to Milwaukee in the Richie Sexson deal. So he's been involved in some big deals. It's his road to the big leagues. And De La Rosa in line to become a winning pitcher at Coors Field tonight. If this holds up, he'd be 8-7 all-time here at Coors Field, guys.
That'd be real nice to beat one of your former clubs. Continue a nice week. Of course, he beat one of his former... Well, Oakland wasn't a former club, but beat 2 in a row and 5 out of 6 in terms of decisions.
Milwaukee was.
Milwaukee was.
He pitched very well.
Yep. 0-2. Vasquez ahead of De La Rosa. So Jorge will take a rest, and Jim Chase is probably just fine with that.
Yeah, no problem whatsoever. And it may be that he wasn't going to use anybody off the bench. Let him go ahead and hit, and that'll be his night. It may not be. I'll continue to see daily. If you guys loosening up down in the Rockies bullpen, starting to move around a little bit. De La Rosa not happy with that swing. Be happy, son. Got a shutout going at Coors Field.
League hitting .286 against Vasquez. Dexter Fowler had an interesting at bat in the 5th. Fouled off a number of pitches with a runner at 3rd, and then he dumped a base hit into left field. He legged it out for a double, and then the throw by Parra got through the second baseman Lopez, shot into right field as it got past Reynolds trying to back up, and Dexter ran all the way around the bases. At the time, it made it 3-0. Rockies would add 2 more in the 6th inning. On just 1 hit, more shoddy defense by the D-backs. They've kicked it around 3 times. Took something off, and it's 1-2 on Fowler. Remember I said the occasional changeup? That was one there.
Pretty good arm there. 96 with some late tail. Man, oh man. Working out of it on the low 3/4 slots. You're going to see a big move on the baseball late. Dexter trying to swing down and through the baseball. That ball got by him in a hurry.
2 outs. Clint Barmas is 0 for 3. He comes up. Boy, there's an interesting bit of information that we just got from the press box and the official score in this one, George. They've changed that era last inning. Remember when Stewart had the delayed steal and nobody covered second? And Luke Carlin fired it into center center field. Yeah. They've changed the error from Carlin, the catcher, to the shortstop.
Wait a minute.
Ojeda. Now,
well, who do you pick?
Well, I don't know how you do that.
Yeah, how do you pick?
How do you know who had coverage?
That's tough. I'm sorry. Unfortunately.
And you know,
as a catcher, don't you look before you throw?
Well, Gonzalez was at the plate.
Okay.
And so you say, all right, most of the time a lefty up, the shortstop covers on a stolen base step, but not always.
So they gave it to the shortstop.
Yeah, they gave it to Ojeda.
Okay.
Augie's saying I was standing there. Oh, he probably shouldn't have been standing there, though. Here's the 1-2, and this is popped up left side. Third baseman Roberts. And a good inning for Vasquez. We'll go on to the 8th inning. The Rockies ahead 5-0. Tonight's E470 Road Ahead is brought to you by E470 and Express Toll, the best way to save time and money. The Rockies will be home until the All-Star break. They've played the fewest home games so far in Major League Baseball. They have 3 with Arizona, one of which they've almost completed. And then the Nationals are in for 3, the Braves for 4, Thursday through next Sunday. Then it's the All-Star break, the All-Star game this year in St. Louis Mo. And then the Rockies go on the road for 4 ball games at Petco against the Padres, and then it's back home again. So this is a stretch where the Rockies really hope that they can get continued separation on the 500 mark, and they began play today 41-37. Top of the order, Felipe Lopez took strike 1 from De La Rosa, and a changeup and a gorgeous one. It's 0-2. Blaine Boyer throwing in the Arizona bullpen. Matt Daly in the Rockies pen. Look at that changeup, George.
Oh, it's outstanding. A pitch that he's developed over time in the bullpen work with Bob Apodaca, Jimmy Wright, and the extension out front creates that good down move. It has been the difference of De La Rosa's success and failures as a pitcher this year, and it's obviously a wonderful thing to watch.
He's pitched 8 full innings 1 time this year. That was on May 9th against the Marlins. And unfortunately, he took the loss. Gave up 2 runs on just 4 hits. He struck out a dozen, walked 1. But he lost 3-1. Remember, there was a period of time there when Jorge was on the mound, George, where the Rockies just flat didn't score.
They did not score. You're right. And it's unfortunate, but he would also allow himself to get in a position sometimes. Give up some early runs, and it was difficult to get back into it, but there's about 4 starts in a row. I think it was covered 28 innings. He gave up like 6 runs.
Here is the 0-2. High 1-2.
The left-hander Flores, the right-hander David. the big guy with the clipboard, Jimmy Wright.
Off the end of the bat, another good changeup by De La Rosa. You know, he has had good fastball command for the most part tonight, George. You know what pitch really hasn't been a factor for him? The big overhand curveball.
He's only thrown a couple. It's been a right-handed. But what he has done with his slider is he's had the ability to go up and add and take off of velocity-wise. And anytime you take velocity off of a slider, you get a bigger break on the ball because you stay way up on top of it. You all right?
Look at my funny bone, George.
Oh.
You got to go on the 15th day.
Announcer's DL?
Yeah.
Or would you rather just have ice?
No, I'm good. Okay. All better. 1-2. And he missed. Still got good velocity. 95 miles an hour.
And he glanced to see what the pitch was. And a lot of pitchers will do that in between pitches, particularly as you work deeper into the ball game. He looked up at the board.
Lopez fouling off a number of pitches. On the ground is short. In between Hop to Tulowitzki. No problem. No problem. He threw the ball in the dirt to help. And Todd, one of those rare times, unable to dig it out. That'll be on Tulowitzki. That's his second error in as many ball games, 5th this year. It's time to go outside the box with Jack in the Box. Actually a trio of PCL All-Stars for the Sky Sox. EY Jr. hitting .296, 46 bags. Matt Merton, what a year he's had. He's been up with the Rockies for a little bit as well. .377 average. Matt Miller's a good hitter. .331 average. He's hit everywhere he's been. Brought to you by Jack in the Box. Right now, try the mini Buffalo Ranch chicken sandwiches. Now recorded at first after the bunt by Ryan Roberts. 3 mini homestyle chicken fillets on toasted mini buns.
Trying to lay down a bunt base hit, but because of all the rain that hit the field here, and again, I know Raz takes a great job of this, but it was very kind of soft out front of home plate area, and the ball just died right there and allowed Iannetta to get out front and make a move on it.
Justin Upton 0 for 2 and a walk. One of the key moments in this baseball game, the Rockies were up 3-0. Upton was up with 2 on. Runners at second and third, in fact, after a wild pitch. And 1 out. A chance for Arizona to get right back in the ball game. Base hit, they're down 1. If he hits 1 out, it's a tie ball game. And De La Rosa went right after him, George. He stayed down in the strike zone, and on a 1-2 pitch, he struck him out.
Did a great job on it. Let's see if he can come back and make some pitches here. He's ahead 0-1. The thing about that's surprising to me about Upton is a very good low ball hitter. Likes the ball down and in. There's the fastball away. Doesn't swing at it there.
And then behind him was Mark Reynolds, and De La Rosa got the 2-2 on Reynolds, and then he was very careful with him. Threw a couple of changeups that just missed away. He walked Reynolds, and then on the first pitch, left on left, got Parra to hit an easy ground ball to short. This ball ripped down the line, fouled by about a couple of feet.
Yeah, 100th pitch of the ball game for De La Rosa. Hey, the next dog night, hot dog night coming up, July 7th versus the Washington Nationals. That's this Tuesday. The first 10,000 through the gates will receive a $1 hot dog, courtesy of Hebrew National. That coupon good for a $1 hot dog purchase, I should say. Purchase your tickets at one of the Rockies ticket outlets or go online to ColoradoRockies.com.
One out. Felipe Lopez at second base. And a ball in the dirt on a changeup. 2-2 on Upton. That's what he struck out Upton on last time. Upton said, I'm not going down there this time.
107 pitches, the most De La Rosa has thrown in a ball game. That was 2 starts ago in Pittsburgh, but that was over 5 2/3. It wasn't in the 8th inning.
to get into his Tiger Woods fist pump.
Well, you can't see it, but I'm going to talk about it anyway. Right on the outside corner. Oh, what a pitch. But I looked into the dugout. It's off a little bit, but I looked into the dugout, and Jason Hamill, Seth Smith at the same time did the rollover and ring him up. Yeah.
Three and two on Upton. Got a lightning quick bat, and not this time. He took something off again. George used the changeup. He was sitting dead red. And another big strike out of Upton. That is the 5th of the night for De La Rosa.
On the Hyundai cam, and the reason he throws his changeup 3-2 counts is that guy right back there, Chris Iannetta. The confidence to throw it gives confidence to the pitcher to throw it.
Mark Reynolds will step up. Reynolds tonight, single, a line drive to third, and a walk. And he takes strike one. One ball, one strike. George, I want to point something out. And you've been here a long time. I've lived here for a long time, before the Rockies arrived. On July the 3rd, do you ever remember a Rockies rotation that featured 4 of the 5 starters with ERAs less than 4?
No.
Aaron Cook, who goes tomorrow for A's, 377. The next day, you'll see Ubaldo Jimenez. He has a 375. The day after, you'll see Jason Marquis, a 387. The next day, you'll see Jason Hamill, a 390.
It's outstanding, and if you look at the overall rankings, that pitching continues to climb in the National League. This is a 3-tier wave to the corner.
Here's the 1-2 on Reynolds. See you later. What a job by De La Rosa. The error by Tulowitzki didn't hurt his focus one iota. He strikes out Upton and Reynolds. The shutout. Nothing. Colorado, bottom of the 8th inning on what has turned out to be a beautiful Colorado evening. We had a 22-minute rain delay initially. Let's check in again with Mark Stout. Mark.
All right, quick update for you as we talk about relievers. There was some thought that Mark Schlereth's son, Daniel, and if you're a fan in Colorado, you know Mark Schlereth of the Broncos. Well, his son was a first-round draft choice of the Diamondbacks, was up briefly this year, And, George, I'll talk to you a little bit about this. He struggled. I was told that he would get up, warm up, and then they would bring a veteran in from the pen, and the veteran wouldn't do well, and then he'd come in and he'd blow up. There was no in between. He was either very good. He's a left-handed guy that they want to be a situational guy out of the pen. Well, he went back down when Scott Schoenweiss came back. His wife, unfortunately, passed away, and now he's injured. He broke some ribs that he did in Arizona. But, George, that's what he had problems with when he was up with the Diamondbacks.
Well, he did. He walked 4, but he struck out 7 in 4 2/3 innings. And you know what? Let me tell you something. If I had $1 for every time I had warmed up and not gotten in a ball game, you'd be a rich man. I mean, that happens for guys in the bullpen. You warm up, sit down. Warm up, sit down. That's all part of being in a major league bullpen. And you've got to learn to adapt to those things. And I looked at his numbers. I mean, he put 8 guys on base the whole time he was here, helping with a ground ball to third base, so making the throw to first. That they did this, and by doing that, you know, he's going to go back down. He did go to AA, though, not AAA.
I wish Daniel all the best. This call to the bullpen is brought to you by Comcast Digital Home Phone Service. Warm up to unlimited local and long distance. Call 800 Comcast. Blaine Boyer, the former Atlanta Brave, he was traded to St. Louis early on this year. Then the Cardinals released him on June 7th, and the Diamondbacks picked him up on waivers.
They're trying to bolster the bullpen. He's walked 14, struck out 14. That's one thing about it. He's at times had dominating stuff, and at times has had difficulty finding the strike zone. That's 96 miles an hour tailing fastball.
Brad robbed of a hit his last time up by the shortstop Augie Ojeda, and a good pickup at first by Mark Reynolds, and nearly hit one out back in the 4th inning to dead center field. This ball up the middle. Ojeda's positioned there. 2 outs. That's time for the Home Depot doing more on defense. Here is that play we were just speaking of. Ojeda dives, now up the low throw, and Reynolds came up with it, controlled it, and kept the foot on the bag. Pretty good stuff. The Home Depot doing more on defense. 2 outs. Troy Tulowitzki, who doubled in a run his last time up, snapped an 0 for 15 slide for Troy. This ball is hit down the line a long way, and it's curling foul. Into, George, some of the 49,026 that have gathered to welcome home the Rockies as they are back in contention after a very difficult start to the season, and also a little fireworks afterward. 49,026. A sellout crowd at Coors Field. Beautiful thing. 0-1 on Tulowitzki, and he can get that fastball at 96. Pretty big arm to pick off waivers, isn't it, Fred?
Yeah, you know what? Well, he was released. I mean, yeah, it's golly. Something must have happened, because he's got a big arm now. You're throwing 96 mile an hour. There's minor league guys, big league guys, Ched, short for cheese, gas, all those different words you have.
He's
got a little heat. That's 97.
It's easy, too. No grunt.
Did you hear him grunt? I didn't hear him grunt. Drew's middle son, Zach, up in the booth watching the ball game tonight. Shaking his head. No, I didn't hear anything.
He's got his eye black on, Fraser.
Well, yeah, he had the same eye black on when I saw him 2 weeks ago at the game. Yeah. At his game on a Saturday morning. Had 2 doubles. Pitched the last inning.
This is going to be a problem. This is going to be a base hit.
Yeah, you just eat the baseball. You're not going to have a shot at Tulowitzki. Still limping a little bit at the very end of that round, but he got up the line just fine.
Yep. So a leg hit, swinging bunt for Troy. And then he'll get Ian Stewart to the plate.
Yeah, you talk about getting it in on your knuckles. Here's that fastball we talked about. Here's that big run coming in on the hands. Tulowitzki trying to get him in tight, but the ball just kept grinding and barely stayed fair long enough for him to get to first base with his second hit of the ball game.
This is the 6th appearance for Boyer in a Rockies uniform. Ian Stewart got the Rockies on the board with a long home run into the Colorado bullpen in the 2nd inning. And fouls this pitch straight back. Fans, feed your Rockies favorite Taco Bell. When the Rockies score 7 or more runs, go to participating Colorado Taco Bell locations the next day between 4 and 6 and feed your fever with 4 tacos for $1 with the purchase of a drink. So basically, if Stewie can hit one in the bullpen again right here, everybody gets tacos tomorrow on the 4th of July on their way to the park. Rockies tonight matching their run total from 3 days in LA. Again, they outscored the Dodgers 5-4 in that 3-game set, but went 1 and 2. One thing the Dodgers realize, even though they won 2, this Rockies team is for real. We will go to the 9th inning. The Rockies shutting out the Diamondbacks 5-0. Southwest Airlines. Southwest Airlines is ready when you are. Go to southwest.com, grab your bag. It's on. By Mike Shaw Chevy Saab, Colorado's crossover and SUV headquarters on Colorado Boulevard for 50 years. Visit MikeShawAuto.com. By Tough Shed, storage buildings and garages. Call 1-800-BY-TOUGH or visit them online at toughshed.com. And by the Courtyard by Marriott on the 16th Street Mall. Ask about our hometown sports package. Top of the 9th inning, the Rockies ahead 5-0. They have out-hit Arizona 7-4, and Arizona has contributed to the Rockies' cause with 3 defensive miscues. Joel Peralta, after 8 fantastic innings from Jorge De La Rosa, will take over and pitch the 9th. Of course, Peralta pitched in that first ball game in the Dodgers series, George. He got the loss. Ethier hit the 2-run home run off in the 13th, which shouldn't be forgotten, is that he was extended beyond where he normally is. That was his 3rd inning of work. His first 2 were terrific. 15 strikeouts in 15 innings. He was terrific. He'll ask to close this one out with a 5-0 lead. Houston Street will start to play a little catch. It's been a while since he has thrown in a ball game. 8 innings, 4 hits. De La Rosa was special. Still no career complete games for Jorge, though he came very close tonight. He's had a bat by Felipe Lopez, George. He fouled off a bunch of pitches, or maybe De La Rosa's still out there in the 9th inning. First pitch from Peralta. In there to Parra for a strike. Parra's 0 for 3. Four walks, 6 strikeouts. And 4 hits. It's to center field. Dexter flies up and out. Hey, the first 5,000 to the gates on July 10th will receive a Brad Hot t-shirt courtesy of FSN Rocky Mountain. Purchase your tickets to the game against the Atlanta Braves at any Rockies ticket outlet. Hey, Frazier, wouldn't that have been something? No, I mean, if De La Rosa threw the complete game, that would have been 3 complete games in a row. Pretty amazing. Would have been very amazing. You know, right now, this club, fun to watch pitch. Well, how many times I've been saying this to you for about 20 years now. They started working together doing college games. They say if they can throw it and they can catch it and they can hit it, you're going to win a lot of games. But if you can really throw it, you can really catch it, you're going to win games. And they've been doing that. And it doesn't matter what level you're talking about. You're right. Yeah. I want to repeat what Jim Tracy said now about 10, 12 days ago. He said, this isn't just a nice streak to me anymore. He said, we're a darn good baseball team. And he goes, the guys in there are very good players. He said, and they're playing more up to their ability now. He said, so I don't look at this as, oh, this is a nice run. This is the expectation this club has of itself.
And he has of that club.
Yep. (107 pitches, 69 for strikes by De La Rosa tonight. 2 balls, 2 strikes on Chris Young. And a reminder, if you have any windshield issues, the place to go, Elite Safelite Auto Glass, 303-287-5000. Their phone number online at safelight.com. This guy's been a nice find for the Rockies also, Joel Peralta. You got to have him. You got to have guys in the bullpen that maybe you acquired at some point in time or come up from down under and you didn't expect to be a big part of things, but they are.
Yeah, there's 2 guys that are still in the Rockies.
Yeah, there it is. High.
Throw it out there. I like it. Let's watch the twirl. Oh, even Dinger liked it in the background. Yeah, that's right on the money. Oh, that feels so good.
Jim Tracy's gone out and
wanting to work for Street.
He wants to get Street a hitter, and he's taken out Peralta. And this is one of those situations where the Rockies were concerned about Street because he had to close every game in Oakland. And then, as it turned out, he's the only guy in the pen who didn't pitch at all in L.A. 5-0, back in a moment. For De La Rosa, in line for his 5th win of the year. 8 shutout innings. He allowed just 4 hits. He walked 4. One of the ones he walked, he was kind of pitching around Mark Reynolds. Struck out 6. Couple of big strikeouts, George, and Justin Upton.
Well, more importantly, kept the ball out of the air. 14 ground ball outs in the ball game for De La Rosa. It was outstanding. Well, Houston Street will come on. You can see his numbers. They've been outstanding. 19 or 20 save opportunities. 34 innings in 36 ball games, a 2-1 record. He'll work a 1/3 of an inning here in the 9th.
Luke Carlin steps in. Street's first pitch misses outside. Ball 1. Chad Tracy, excuse me, is pinch hitting for Carlin. He's battled injuries again this year. And 2-0. Fouled off. Pitching matchup tomorrow. We mentioned Aaron Cook, the Rockies ace, looking for his 9th win. George Yusmeiro Petit will be on the hill for Arizona.
And easy pickings a little bit. He's had difficult times with the Rockies in the past. He's normally a reliever. was mixed back and forth with the Rockies bullpens. 0-3 on the season for Petit as a starter.
Here's the 2-1 on Tracy. Swung on and missed. Heavy fastball at 92. And the Rockies a strike away. Strikes out Chad Tracy. Welcome back home, Colorado Rockies. And they shut out the Arizona Diamondbacks 5-0. And they improved to 42.